Okay, to start off, we got two Friday Night Funkin' stages. There's two versions, a widescreen and a normal. And they seem fine enough to me. The only thing that I could even say is, like, you can see down here that maybe the player bound needs to be tightened up ever so slightly. But, yeah, it doesn't slide or anything. It's fine. Same deal. Though, I'm obviously, if I keep this, I'm going with the widescreen because I just like more screen space. Here we have a Game Boy Advance game that I've never heard of called Prehistorik Man. Apparently it was also on the SNES. And I think it's fine. What's weird is, like, you could argue there's a scaling problem, but I really don't think it's that big a deal. But what's funny to me is, like, does the water need to be parallax? Is that actually is how in the game? I kind of doubt it. But yeah, this works perfectly well. I'll be keeping it. Next up, we have the Fancy Pants Adventure World 1.1. This is some Steam game or Google app, I don't know what the hell it is. From like something you play as a stickman. The first thing I noticed is like this little line here and this dot that maybe is a transparency error dot. Like over here it's also another transparency error, I assume. The stage is super basic. Kinda ugly, honestly. I don't think this is worth my keeping it. I mean, there's no errors. The sky isn't broken as far as I can tell. Here we have Highway from Gun Mayhem 2, and there's a pretty obvious flaw in this stage. Now, if you see, yeah, we're walking on these, like, highway signs here. On the left side, he's just clearly walking on air, because, like, that tire is clearly, like, further back in the background. I assume this is from some kind of platform fighter. But, yeah. I suppose it's probably as simple as tightening up this left player bound. It doesn't slide or anything. Looks like the stage repeats up top, but I could be wrong. Nah, I guess it's not repeating because the tire doesn't seem to be repeating. Next up we have Freddy Fazbear Pizza Place from Five Nights. And this stage is super basic, and like it all has like an obvious scaling problem because the characters are just gigantic compared to that building back there. But is this even worth fixing up? It's so basic. This is Construct from Garry's mod. We got another cityscape background. Except they obviously either ripped a JPEG or they just did like the worst compression ever of a good... Yeah, there's JPEG fuzzed everywhere. Once again, I cannot stress this. Do not use JPEGs. Use PNGs, like lossless image. Even then, if you're having trouble with color depression, like cut it into pieces. Here we have Waterworld, also from Garry's mod. And in 1.1 at least, it is absolutely busted. Yeah, there's like a tiling issue gone wrong here, and I assume in 1.0 or whatever this was made in, that the characters will be way smaller in it, but oh man, it's so busted. It needs massive resizing. I think I'll fix this up just to see how it looks sized. But damn. And keeping this as is. Next up we have a stage based on Metal Gear VR missions, and there's this obvious problem with the floor. It is sliding like crazy. Either way, it's pretty nice, but I'll have to fix that sliding floor before I decide to keep it. Yeah, Hinata's going just all over the place back there. Next up we have 7 separate stages from Rivals of Aether, and I like them all quite a lot. Now this one, it starts out like super dark, but if you wait here a second, the sun will start to rise in the background and it'll brighten up, which I think is a cool effect that they went to the trouble of adding. Yeah, I assume this stages were made for tinier characters, but I like them regardless. Though, that building in the background, like, if someone was standing in that balcony, it still looks fine with this character resolution, or this character scale. But yeah, there's 7 of these, and they're all great. I'll just highlight them all real quick. Yeah, I love this. The storm flashing clouds. The offset needs to be brought up like probably a number, maybe like 2 pixels on this one, but that's an easy fix. Okay, we have City of Yongyang from Law Tale. And while I feel there's a scaling issue, like, the lanterns on the top seem to be scaled to the characters, but the buildings in the background seem like too small compared to the characters, so it's kind of, I can't win. But otherwise, it's fine. Next, we have a stage based on Pepsi Man, Pepsi City. So when you get into it, if you look in the background, it's clearly just an edit of Sakura's stage from Street Fighter Alpha 2. Now, the real question is, am I going to keep the Pepsi Man character from Mugen? Because this would be a good place to put them, but usually I don't keep hodgepodges. But this is quite an effort, hodgepodge, with all these animations. So yeah, I kind of like this regardless. Here we have a Five Nights at Freddy's stage, the Pizzaplex logo, and I thought this was probably going to be immediately deleted. But for what it is, it looks pretty nice. The floor reflections like really help save it, and that the fact that the background image is like super crisp. I mean, if somebody has like a lot of super jump area, then the stage like absolutely fails. But I'm not too concerned with that. But yeah, this makes the cut barely. Here we have a space stage from something called The Flight for Glorden by Camren Springer. And there's problems all over it. Okay. So this background line, I can see flash errors here where Flash just like fucks with you and fucks everything up for no fucking reason. And so besides being super basic, he put this like street lamp in the foreground. But look, it's a little too, like, the character's a little too close to it. The character should have their Z offset up some. Also, like, he very clearly didn't rip this right. There's all these white dots he should have taken off here. I mean, I could repaint this whole stage. And let me know if you want me to do that, but I wonder if it's really worth it, because the stage is super basic. Like, come on, Camren, you can try a little harder with your little sprite rips here. Next up, we have a Tetra stage by Zinjo, and I was worried this was going to be just walking on a picture, but no, Zinjo went the extra mile. He's got this, like, you know, obvious walking space and this background animation, which, you know, I've done background animations, and I appreciate the effort that he put in here, getting this all to work. I wish it had maybe, like, more than one. It goes through, like, one loop of an animation. Kind of wish it had at least 2, but I think he already went the extra mile. So I'm not going to really be complaining about it when I got this, at least. So yeah, this is nice. He actually released 2 versions in the file, but the only difference is what song's playing when you load the stage up. Yeah, see, this is the alternate music. Next up, we have a stage from Nosferatu for the SNES. And while you argue that, like, maybe it looks a little grainy, it works really well as a Mugen stage, in my opinion. Like, yeah, this works great as a Mugen stage. No sliding, it's fine. This is the Basement I stage, or maybe it's Basement 1, from Paq Gamer 4000. And my initial reaction to this stage is this it? Like, it doesn't say what game this is from. Like, there's clearly a player-bound error on the left here, like Kung Fu Man's going off the edge of the stage. It's just so basic. It feels like there's dead space at the top, though I don't know if that's intentional or not. Also, if those are supposed to be human-sized bricks, then I am super tiny. Like, do you know what this is even from? I don't think I'll be keeping this. Okay, this is Rival Arena, supposedly from PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. However, I think it's probably just based on it, considering how it looks. And we have some issues where, like, I'm walking into a block. Like, I walk off these blocks and into a wall, where I'm clearly just, like, walking on the picture. Same thing on the opposite side. I mean, you could mess with the Z offset to try to fix it, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of good walking regardless, no matter where you put it. You know, it's kinda okay, though. This is Poncho's house from Webkins. And the characters seem really, really small in comparison to the background. Like, even if you uppercut, you can barely see that house. Also, like, I assume this is made for the Poncho character somebody released from Mugen. But I already played with that character a bit, and that character seems really bad. Like, it needs a lot more to it, among other things, if I remember correctly. So, I might try to fix this up to see how it, like, looks at better sizes. But right now, if you're getting this just to have a stage for that Poncho character, I wouldn't say bother with it. And there's also, you know, JPEG errors everywhere. Next up, we have the Clouds Town. I assume it's from Wonder Boy. And it looks really nice. I mean, there's a scale problem considering how big I am to the characters in the background, but it's not that big a deal. Yeah, this looks really good. I didn't really expect it to be bad considering who made it. Here we have a Club Penguin stage. And even though there's, like, you can see minor flash problems in the background, I'm not sure how well he could have avoided that. But they're very minor, and it looks pretty nice considering. I think I'll be keeping this one. So yeah, I recommend this one for a Club Penguin character if you find a Club Penguin character you like. Next up is a Roblox stage called AUT, and we have problems. Okay, let's assume that Roblox guy in the background is human size for the sake of argument. Yeah, then we're massively the wrong scale by the time we walk to the background to get to him. Also, it's an animated image, but it's like pulsing, like it's coming closer to the camera with each pulse, which looks really weird. This is not making the cut. Next up we have Rocket Arena, also a Roblox adaptation. And this looks really nice and crisp. But, The foreground object is blocking a lot of screen here. Yeah, this stage is Bandit Evo. Maybe I'll try like a very low transparency on this green pillar and see how, if it doesn't look too distracting, so you can at least see your characters a little bit. But otherwise it passes. Next up we have two versions of a stage by 1ZJXX. And one is like 100 megs. So I had my old laptop, and I remember like some like lower meg stages were actually like given like a 30-second delay or something. Yes, my old laptop sucked, but like if you put like a 50 meg stage on like some weaker computers, like there's going to be like some considerable chugging. So fair warning that this thing is like 100 megs. And it's, yeah, this super crisp image, which you probably didn't like cut into pieces to try to optimize, is probably what's eating up all these megs. It looks pretty nice though, you know, if you disregard the scaling problem, that if I'm human size and she's the character dancing in the background is human size, then like I'm massively tiny. Here we have the alternate that's lesser megs, and same thing, but I mean, if the picture not being crisp is a bother to you, then I guess you can go with this one if you want this dancing character. I have no idea what this is from. It's not listed properly on Mugen Archive. Next up we have Rabbit's Glitch from Friday Night Funkin'. And the only real error I've noticed is over here on the right side, the player bound's a little too tight. Like, she should be able to walk over to the right a little more. It's mostly fine. I don't see any sliding issues. Here we have USS Reagan from Prototype. And we have picture syndrome here because, as I mentioned in previous video, if you have a frozen animation in your background, it just like really breaks the immersion, so to speak. So yeah, like frozen helicopter, frozen explosions, frozen gunfire, frozen smoke. And if none of that bothers you, then it works pretty well. Got another Club Penguin stage here at the docks. And this one has problems. Okay, first of all, there's like the sliding issue right there. Like, Hinata's sliding all over the place. But also, look at this. If you go left as Kung Fu Man here, it like pulls the character from the other side of the screen over to the left. And Kung Fu Man goes like, the player bound is so fucked that Kung Fu Man is going off the screen. Unless you really need a character with that docks clip, I would just go with that other one, the Club Penguin Beach stage. This is Browntown from the Angry Video Game Nerd game. And there is no issues. It looks quite nice, actually, in my opinion. Yeah, not any really above space, but that's not that big a deal. Yeah, I recommend this one. You know, maybe the player bound's a little off. Like, I'm walking into that wall, but it's not that big a deal. Next up, we have a set of stages from Tomba, a PlayStation game that's pretty rare. Every one of these is messed up in 1.1. Now, it looks fine on the surface, except maybe a scaling issue. I'd have to check to see how big Tomba is supposed to be compared to this background. But if we go to the left, like, there's obviously the stage is like, the tiling's all fucked. Though, surprisingly, it seems like it's too wide regardless. Like, that side of the stage should be exposed anyway, but yeah, you see the slot machine? Now the slot, or whatever it is, the jukebox slot machine, maybe it's a gacha machine, but it's like clearly looping on the left side. This stage, same deal. It's looping on the sides. There's dead space at the bottom. It's just a mess. Same deal. It's looping on the sides here. You see that grass on the tree. It's over here on the right side where it shouldn't be. Once again, I'd have to check the scale of Tomba to this actual background. Here we have a stage from Sunset Riders. I mean, it looks pretty good. It's just a scaling issue where, like, I am way too big. I'd have to look at how big humans are supposed to be in this game compared to, Mugen characters. But otherwise, it's fine. I actually kind of like it. Paq Island from Super Adventure Island. And it is nice enough. This is a nice little forest stage. And since I don't have any massive conflicts with objects in the background, the scaling isn't really an issue. Even though I know that Mr. Higgins from Super Adventure Island is probably way smaller than Kung Fu Man is right now. Next up we have a stage from Mirror's Edge, Jackknife. And the stage looks really crisp and nice. Like, the only issue is if you pay super attention to the background, you're gonna realize that, like, one of these gate things in real life, by the time Kung Fu Man walked through it, he would be super tiny compared to it. But that's not that big an issue. At least, like, the foreground that you're walking on looks pretty nice. Doesn't break the immersion of the stage that much. So yeah, this passes. I had to look this up, but apparently Kerwan is from Ratchet and Clank. And what is going on here? Grass does not seem like something that should have a reflection on it. And your shadows are like falling into the sky. There's clearly a tiling issue here because you can see background is looping over there. And over here, so obviously they should be like zoomed in more, or have the sides cut off. Probably wouldn't be that bad if I repaired it and got rid of all these weird shadowing effects. But yeah, that's the final one of this video.